Okay, okay.
Okay. Then good morning to all of you. Today is the third day of this regional workshop on career opportunity for agriculture professional in India and abroad. And in this workshop, we have taken whole lecture already taken. Dr. Bhaskar Rao is also there, Dr. Umesh Singh ji and Dr. Amrita Madam. So I welcome to all for this program and also welcome to all the attendees or participants. Around 60 participants already joined or some are again joining maybe. So first of all, good morning to all of you. So first, today is our lecture on this epipreneurship scope and prospect by Dr. Amrita Madam, that is assistant professor in Kerala Agriculture University under the ECRIP on honeybee and pollinator project. So I read first biodata. Uh, Dr. Amrita Madam joined as assistant professor in Kerala Agriculture University on 15 October 2005, and she handled classes on agriculture entomology and handled 7 projects and many trainings and other orientation refresher course and conducted and also conducted many workshops, participant in many projects. That is also and he guided 9 MSc student and 2 PhD student and many research paper already published around 25 and a member of many professional society like Association for Advancement of Entomology, Principals of Apiary Industry Sector Committee, then Federation of Indigenous Apiculturists, then Editorial Committee of the Tinecha Kardasam, and many award is also taken. That Best ACRIP Research Center Award in 2013, then Best ACRIP Center for Reporting in 2018, and also Women Scientist Award in 2019, and also many other works also there. So not taking much time, I request to Dr. Amrita Madam, you start your presentation. You share your PowerPoint.
Okay, sir.
I allow.
Host.
Okay,
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 you
I
are
allow.
there. Okay, now it's okay,
Ah,
sir.
yeah, coming.
Okay.
Okay,
Good
good.
morning, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me for handling a class on these career opportunities for the agriculture students, which comes under the NHEP project. So, sir has asked to handle a class on the scope and prospects of this apiculture. So you may be having a course on apiculture during your PSCEG program. And even though I am giving some basic ideas, and after that we can go to the scope as well as what is the components to be involved or to be included while writing a project. Okay. So the topic is epipreneurship, scope, and prospects. So you may be all knowing about the types of bees we have. So bees are social insects. So now we can see what are the different types of bees we have in our country. Okay, it's seen throughout our country. Again, mainly there are 4 types coming under the genus Apis and 1 coming under the Meliponidae group, that is the stingless bees. So for your better understanding, I have classified them into 2 groups, the bees coming under the genus Apis, that is the Indian bee and the Italian bee. They are the one which we are domesticating, and towards North India, mainly nowadays the Italian bees are more concentrated, while towards the South India it's the Indian bee, and towards the Northeast also we are doing mainly concentrating on the Apis cerana indica or the Indian bee. So what this domesticated bee, Suppose you are visiting a field where there are natural colonies of bees or feral colonies, how you can identify their hives? That is the natural feral colonies. Here you can see they are the domesticated ones, and usually they are seen in multiple parallel combs and in the enclosed condition. So if you are seeing natural feral colonies in enclosed condition or in the hollow cavities with the multiple parallel combs, then you can definitely understand, or you can say that it is an Indian bee or the Italian bee. While the other one, that is the non-domesticated one, they are of single comb. They possess only single comb, and you can see they may be attached to the branches or to the elevated region, that is on the sunshade area of a multi-storied building like that, or on the rock. So mainly two types are there. That is the rock bee, Apis dorsata, and the little bee, Apis florea. And another thing is they are seen in exposed condition. Okay. Apart from these four types which come under the genus Apis, we have the stingless bees, that is Tetragonella ridipennis. And here the main difference when compared to the other is the comb of the Apis type are generally, they possess hexagonal cells, but here all the brood as well as the storage pods, that is the pollen and the honey pods, they are seen in pods. Small globular structures are there inside which you can see the brood and their storage like a pollen and the honey. Okay, so these are the main differences between the different types of hives of stingless bee, and we can see this is the difference of the in size of the three types, that is Apis cerana, Indian bee, Apis mellifera, Italian, and the Apis dorsata, which is the biggest one, that is called the rock bee. It is a ferocious one. We cannot handle it. Okay. And now we can see one by one. The first one is the Indian bee or the Apis cerana, and here you can see it can be seen up to 200 meters above mean sea level. And when we go for the scientific management practices, we can harvest up to 10 to 15 kg of Indian bee honey from a single hive. Earlier, we could harvest only 8 to 10 kg, but now by practicing the scientific methods, we can harvest 10 to 15 kg. And normally the now workers, number of workers per hive may extend from 10,000 to 50,000 like that. Okay. So next one is the giant bee or the rock bee. They are the largest one of the four types of the Apis, and you can see the one colony being hung from the branch of a tree and even on the sunshade of the multi-storied building. And you can see their abdomen is much enlarged of the four type of the other when compared to the other three types. And its single comb may comes to an possess an area of 1 meter square, and the average yield that we get from a single colony is 50 to 80 kg, okay, of honey per colony. And in our country, I think 20% of the honey is being harvested from the rock bee or the Apis dorsata. And next come the introduced bee or the Italian bee. It was introduced during 1962, and in our state, Kerala, it was introduced during 1992. And the average yield obtained is about 40 to 60 kg per hive. And here the number of workers is much high, that is 75,000. And now coming to the fourth one, it is the smallest bee. So it is also known as the little bee or the Apis florea. And you can see these bees, they usually construct the comb around the twig. So it is constructing around the comb around the twig, and you can see that it's a single comb. And you can identify the bees very easily by observing the body pattern, particularly the white and black stripes on the abdomen. You can see that. And it's also an important pollinator, but we couldn't get much honey from that. Hardly 900 gram per colony. So it's a poor honey yielder. Okay, and now the one which comes under the Melipone group is the stingless bee. They are called stingless because they do not possess the sting, but they usually protect from others by means of its mouth parts, mandibulate mouth parts. And here you can see the different stages. The left one, the biggest pot, what you can see is the honey pot, near to which you can see the queen and you can see the swollen abdomen of the queen. And next, very next to it, towards the top, you can see the pollen pods and you can see a drone there. And towards the right, you can see a number of workers. And finally, the last picture is the pillars which support the brood of the stingless bee. So this also normally is a poor yielder, but we could get only hardly 1 kg of honey from a single colony. But the thing is that this honey is much costly because of its medicinal properties. Because you know the medicinal property of the honey depends upon the foraging plants visited by the bees. So here mostly the stingless bees, they used to visit the wheat plants, and you know the alkaloids and the phenols of these wheat plants are rich in medicinal properties, and that's why the honey of the stingless bee is more possess more antioxidant property and like that. So it's used for curing so many diseases and also including cancer. Now we can see that's about the types, and now we can see the caste. You know, it's a social insect. So here the population in it is distributed in such a way that there is a queen. She had the leading role in controlling all the activities of the comb or the hive. And you can see there is a worker bee, and worker bee, there may be 75,000 of worker bees in the case of Italian, but it's less when we take the Indian bee. And you can see the drone bee or the male bee. And I think you may have gone through the distinguishing characters of these. You can see right from this picture itself, the queen by the elongated abdomen you can see. And in the case of worker bee, this abdomen is blunt. Sorry, in the case of this drone bee, the abdomen is blunt, while in the case of worker, worker bee, it's pointed. And by the distance between the compound eyes also, we can identify there are a number of features. And you know how these worker bees and drones are formed. Worker bees and queen are formed from fertilized eggs, while drones from the unfertilized eggs. All these things you may be thorough, you may have gone through a BSc program. So I'm not going in detail to that. And now coming to the work distribution among the worker bees, that is based on their age. They are assigned with a number of duties, that is up to 3 days after the emergence. These worker bees, they will clean the cells, and after 3 to 5 days they will feed the larvae to the younger ones, and those of 6 to 12 days age, they will produce the royal jelly. Royal jelly, you know, they are produced from, actually it's a combination of the secretions of glands, hypopharyngeal and mandibular gland is what is called the royal jelly, and it is the one which is fed to the queen, which increases its reproductive capacity and all. Then finally, those of 12 to 20 days, those worker bees, they are engaged in packing the pollen, then building the combs, capping the cells, ripening the nectar, that is by means of the fanning method, that is they use to flutter the wings, then receiving the nectar, a defense mechanism, all these within the hive, all these is done by workers of 12 to 20 days. And those of 20 days old, they used to go for foraging. Foraging is nothing but these bees, they require the nectar as the carbohydrate source and the protein as the, that is the pollen as the protein source. So their nutritional requirements are satisfied with these nectar and the pollen from the plants. So these bees find their foraging plants, and then they will take the requirements from the necessary plants, and that activity is called the foraging. And here you can see a picture of the hypopharyngeal glands, and you can see the royal jelly being filled in the queen cell, and this is the larvae of the queen. You can see towards the bottom. And finally, drone bees, the male bees, is their only function is just mating with the queen. And here, just a picture to show about the idea of the life cycle. And you can see a queen bee inserting her abdomen to lay the egg towards the cell. And after 3 days, this egg, from this egg, larva will emerge. And here you can see the worker bees coming and providing feed for the larvae, and then they will go for the pre-pupal stage, and then next one is the pupation. By that time, you can see the cell will be closed with a wax capping, and now the pupation you can see inside the cell, and after that the adult bee will come by itself, emerge from the cell. So this is a life cycle of the Indian bee, what I have seen, and this has an important role while we are doing the division and all. At that time, we should know what is the adult longevity of the queen, and at what time we have to provide the cell and all. For knowing this, we have to know the life cycle of the Indian bee. So the beekeepers have an awareness or orientation about this life cycle. Okay, period is almost same for all, but the larval period is for the queen it's 5 and worker 6, and for drone it's 7. And again, there is variation in the pupal period and also in the adult longevity. Then, in order to identify by taking a comb, how can you understand whether this cell is of the drone cell or the worker cell or queen cell? You can see in the case of the worker cell, the cap will be flat. The wax cap covering the pupa will be flat. In the case of drone, it is somewhat dome shaped, it will be raised. And in the case of the queen cell, it will be finger shaped. So these are all things. And now we can see which are the terms associated with this apiculture. You know, it's art and science of rearing bees. Beekeeping, it is a practice of intentional maintenance of honeybee hives by human. Then who is a beekeeper? He is one who keep bees in order to collect honey and wax, or for the purpose of pollinating crops or to produce bees for sale. And apiary means it's a location where the bees are reared. So the number of hives to be placed in the apiary, it may vary, depend upon the foraging plants. Sometimes we can keep up to 20 hives in a single apiary, very near in position. But that all depends upon the availability of the foraging plants or the source of the food. So now, why this beekeeping is recommended? So definitely it provides additional income. That is that too. By how? That is by giving products, different products. Not at all honey, but there are other 6 products are obtaining from totally 6 products we can obtain from the hive. And even the women can also engage in the beekeeping, particularly if we are having a stingless bee colony in our house. Even women can also handle it very easily. So it helps in generating self-employment to the women as well as for the unemployed youth. And apart from all these, enhanced crop production is an important factor which we will get through the beekeeping. And now we can go through the hive-based products. What are the products which we obtain from the hive? All of us are well aware about the honey, and you know how these bees are collecting the honey. You know that it will be collecting the nectar from different plants. And these nectar, once reaching the crop, that is the part of the foregut, this crop is also known as the honey stomach, and there this nectar they will acted by an enzyme called invertase, which convert the nectar into the honey. So during which that is what happens is the polysaccharides are converted into that is the disaccharide sugars are converted into monosaccharides. Okay, so sucrose is converted into glucose and fructose. That's what happening. And again, back to the hive, these nectar are again transferred through prophylaxis, that's mouth-to-mouth transfer to the another worker bees. And during this time, again, there will reduction in moisture occurs, and finally, these honey will be regurgitated into the comb cells. Okay. So next important product that we are obtaining is the pollen. So nowadays we have different mechanism to collect the pollen through the pollen trap, with the help of the pollen trap, and we have to maintain it in ambient temperature. First we have to dry and we can store. These are the main two products. Then other than that, you know about the wax, and wax is the one which is produced by the worker bees of 14 to 18 days old worker bees. They have the sternal glands. There is 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th sternal glands of the worker bees. They possess a pair of sternal glands, these wax glands each, and from which these wax flakes are produced, and they will be taking that to the mouth part by means of the wax picking leg, and with the help of the mandibles, they are finally shapen these wax flakes into comb. And after the honey harvest, we will be harvesting the empty combs, and we will be processing the wax obtained from that empty combs, and we will be converting them into wax blocks. And nowadays these wax blocks are mostly used for the preparing the candles, then soap, and even for making polishes. And apart from all these, I think you may be knowing what is the major role in the beekeeping. It is used for the preparation of the comb foundation sheet. Comb foundation sheet is nothing but it is a sheet made up of the beeswax, and it is having the impregnation of the hexagonal base of that hexagonal cell, so that it will reduce the time of the bee to construct the combs. Okay, so it has an immense number of uses. And next here you can see royal jelly. I have already told royal jelly is produced by the worker bees, and they are produced from the hypopharyngeal glands, and the secretions of mandibular glands are also mixed. And you know the role of the royal jelly. Then next one is propolis. Propolis, the thing is that out of the 5 types of bees we have studied, only the Italian bee and the stingless bee, they are producing the propolis. And this propolis, they mainly use for covering or sealing the cracks and crevices in their hive, in order to reduce or to prevent the entry of light into the comb. So this propolis, since it's taken from the plants, they are having rich medicinal properties, and so nowadays they are used, they will be collected by means of a propolis collector net-like structure, which is placed on the top of the comb, and then that will be powdered to form the propolis powder. And from these propolis, extracts will be taken, and it is very good for treating the diseases, particularly that of the gum diseases, tooth and like that, it is used. Then towards the bottom, you can see in the middle is the bee venom. It is, you know, bee venom, it is a poisonous gland. Actually, bee venom is the accessory gland, is modified to the poisonous glands, and you can see the ovipositor modified in the sting. And bee venom is harvested by means of a bee venom collector. That is nothing but we are providing a 12-volt current. So the bees will continuously sting on the glass present on the bee venom collector, and we can swipe the bee venom, and then it can be stored in the powdered form. and we can, according to the recommendation by the doctor and all, we can make the into the different dilutions and can administer to the patients. Earlier, these directly for injecting the bee venom, and this technique was first reported from China. So we have gone through the 6 products from the that is honey, then royal jelly, wax, pollen, and bee venom, and propolis. These are the important products which we are getting from the hive. So that itself fetches much price. Apart from that, another thing that nowadays the farmers are focusing on the value addition. That is high-based value addition of that's high-based value-added products. That is, they are making different value-added products from the honey, even from wax also. Again, this also increases their income or revenue from the beekeeping. Okay. So earlier I have already mentioned about this. You can see here the different pictures of the soap as well as the candles which are prepared from the bee wax. Then here on the right side, you can see the bee venom pellet made from the bee venom, and it costs nearly 10,000 rupees per gram. And from a single colony, we may get hardly 50 to 100 or maximum up to maximum 150 milligram. We will be getting the bee venom from the single colony. So it's so much precious. And here you can see some of the products from propolis, that is the propolis soap. Then propolis liquid, I have mentioned that it's very important for treating the diseases in the gum. Then it cost about 1,683 rupees per 70 gram of the bee propolis. And towards the bottom, you can see the bee pollen. Bee pollen, that is, it comes to about, it is not dollar, but rupees 999 per 500 gram. And here you can see the royal jelly. Royal jelly is available in the capsule form also. Here in Kerala, the farmers, they used to purchase the royal jelly from outside street, and then they used to sell the royal jelly in capsules and in a container, small bottle containing 30 capsules. It comes to about rupees 1,300 like that. And actually, the cost comes to about rupees 1,190 per gram of the royal jelly. So apart from all these, what is the added advantage that we are getting from this other than the high-based products? That is the pollination. That is, bees pollinate the crop, and as a result, we can increase the agricultural production. Okay, so bees actually, they visit the plants for collecting the their food, that is the pollen as well as the nectar. And what are the factors which attract these bees, and why that make them an efficient pollinator? The factors which attract them towards the plants is classified into 2, that is the primary attractants and the secondary attractants. Primary attractants, under which comes nectar, pollen, oil, resin, and other chemical compounds. While the secondary attractants are the color of the petals, then odor, then size and shape of the flower. Size and shape is a very important factor because the mode of foraging, as well as the which type of bee we visits which type of flowers, these are all determined by the size as well as the shape of the flower. So one of the important behavior of the bee is floral fidelity. That is nothing but their behavior to forage only on one plant species
Okay, just let's wait for some time. Our panelist internet connection is this one due to problematic. We'll be starting again these leftover sessions. So just bear with us.
Where is it? Now can you see the
Yes,
screen?
yes, yes, madam. Yes,
Okay.
yes, madam.
Okay.
Please continue, madam.
Okay. Okay. I think this was the last slide. Or just I have to start from the previous slide.
It's okay, ma'am. Continue from.
Okay. 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 So apart from the morphological adaptations, communication, as well as the memory power, that is the bees have the ability to they can understand at what time these flowers will bloom. Okay. Then foraging rate, that is the number of flowers visited per unit time, and the foraging speed, time spent for per flower. These all, though it depends upon various factors, the prime thing is the foraging plants, particularly the flower size, shape, and all, and the resources, food sources, all these determining the foraging rate. Okay. Then, what are the advantages due to the bee pollination? That is yield increase. Yield increase both in terms of the quantity as well as the quality. So our most of the studies have shown that about 25 to 61% yield increase. Sir, is it audible? Sir?
Yes, 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 madam. Please continue.
Okay, 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 okay. That is 25 to 61% yield increase has been reported. From our studies, we have done the studies in the cucurbits. That is, they are the most cross-pollinated crops, so we can efficiently utilize the bees in the cross-pollinated crops like cucurbits, and as well as also in the oil-yielding legume, then oil-yielding plants, then the seed crops, and also. So what quantitative wise and qualitative wise increase? Quantity wise means there will be increase in the fruit weight, then number of seeds per fruit, seed weight per fruit, and germination percentage. That is even the mass around the seed, you can see there will be an increase in weight. And here, due to the bee pollination, the pollen grains reaching the ovule can be increased. Thus, the efficient pollination is ensured by means of this bee visit. While quality percentage, fruit set percentage, then malformed fruits, fruit length, fruit diameter. There is increase in the fruit length as well as the fruit diameter. You can see the shape difference in the bee pollinated one and the other one. And in the studies conducted in our area, or even in the poly house also, we tried the stingless bees, and we got up to 61% yield increase due to the stingless bee. So, but the thing is that now the farmers are not much aware of these efficient utilization of bees in pollination. So we should concentrate. Keeping is another one is we can efficiently utilize the bees, increase the agricultural production, I mean crop production, as well as sustainability. Through the area under the cultivation in India, and also potential of about 200 million bee colonies. But we are now using only 34 lakh colonies only, that is 3.4 million. So we have the ample potential, so we have to develop there is a vast gap in for more development. So only 4 lakh people are involved in the beekeeping, and we are only producing nearly 90 to 95,000 tons of honey, and rest is we are getting from the rock bee colonies. Potential is utilized. So by increasing the beekeeping, and so more people coming into this field means we can provide employment to over produce honey of 10 million tons. And even India is having about 68.04% share in the global market, but still we can produce more beeswax. That's about 15,000 tons. And so the main by increasing the beekeeping, the main thing is that we can increase the number of colonies, and we can increase the honey production, as well as we can boost the agricultural productivity of the agriculture as well as horticultural crops. And in this aspect, migratory beekeeping is also a very important aspect, and I hope you know that migratory beekeeping means we are shifting the hives from areas to the areas where there are rich floral sources are there. Okay. Then rights, the employment generation, rural development, and also the nutritional security. And so in like that of all other ventures, this beekeeping is also having a lot of problem or the constraints, like lack of sufficient foraging plants, lack of good infrastructure facilities. Then pesticide use, it's a very important thing. That is, in the place where we are keeping the beehive, the application of pesticide has to be done based on the surveillance. That is, at what time the blooming occurs, at what time is the pollinators visiting on these crops, the insecticide. Then try to avoid the insecticide application. That will be good. Then another thing is bee disease and enemies, and try to manage everything in an organic mode or insecticides only towards the end. And apart from these beginners, or means a number of people are coming into this field, they are not aware of the things or the facilities which are being assured for the beekeeping, or what are the agencies which provide the finance, and many of them are not aware of that. So yeah, now we can see which are the agencies which are involved in beekeeping in our country. So there are a number, multiple ministries and departments are associated, and first we can see one by one. First one is the ICR, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, which comes under the Ministry of Agriculture. Here, it assists also the state agriculture universities, and its main function is to conduct the research on beekeeping, particularly on the crop pollination, and thereby ensuring the crop productivity, increased crop productivity. And another agency is the Khadi and Village Industries Commission, which comes under the Ministry of MSME. And here, actually here under this, beekeeping is a forest-based industry, and it is mainly focusing for the honey only. And under this KVIC comes CBRTI Pune, and they are also carrying research activities on the beekeeping development. Another one is the National Bee Board and National Horticulture Mission of Department of Agriculture Crop Corporation, and they mainly support the promote the pollination and as well as the livelihood improvement of the farmers. And yeah, apart from these, they support the various state agriculture universities and private beekeeping industry through financially through providing the integrated bee development centers, or IBDCs. And another agency involved in this is the Food Safety Standard Authority of India, FSSAI, which comes under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and they are primarily making standards for the honey and bee products, and they also implement it effectively. And next one is the EPEDA, that is the Agricultural and Processed Food Product Export Development Authority, which comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, and they are the one which primarily deals with the export of the honey. And other than all these, NABARD, through its FSDF, that is the Farm Sector Development Funds, they support the beekeeping by providing funds through the state and NGOs. So recently, under the Atma Nirbhar Abhiyan, the government has allocated nearly 500 Is it okay now, sir?
Yes, yes. Yes, madam, please continue.
Is it okay?
Yes, yes. Yes, madam, please continue. Yes, it is visible, madam. Please continue.
Is it audible?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
okay. Again, the net connection here, there is severe problem. Sorry for the interruption. And please bear with it. Okay. So now we are going to the components which are just to be taken. Okay, okay, okay. So now we are going to the components. It's all okay, okay.
Yes, yes, it is.
Now once that which are to be taken care of during the submission of the project proposal. Okay. So mainly there are two types of costs. That is the non-recurring and the recurring costs are there. Non-recurring non-recurring is the one which is which we have to invest for it during the initial time. That is what are the equipments, and also we unit has to start. And this one is for the Indian B that I have shown here. And for that, we need better to start or 5 colonies. In the coming or subsequent years, increase their revenue. That will be better. Suppose we are starting as a group number of beehives, hives of 150 numbers, then you have to are needed for the smooth contact. For all what are the bee in the initial stage, you can go for the manual processing of the honey, and further after 4 or 5 years, when you have the ample revenue or income, then you can go for purchasing honey processing. I mean, for implementing a honey process components like hive, then the different equipments, then what are the items needed for processing of the honey and all. Then mostly we couldn't have land of our own. So this beekeeping an advantage is we can do this in landless the beekeeping. That is the advantage. So what we can in our area, we depend mainly on the rubber plantation. So we can lease the land and you can place the colonies there. So these are the different components, and you can see finally the cost comes. And now you can calculate the recurring cost, that is which is needed throughout the year for maintaining all these things. And mainly the laborers are needed, then miscellaneous expenses are there, and you can calculate. This is the second major component. So you can divide the entire thing into two, that is non-recurring and the recurring cost. And you should have an idea which are components to be included. It may vary based upon your situation. That is, in our area, we are depending on the rubber crop, but in your area, if the foraging plan is different, means you can include other components. What are things needed? Suppose you want to shift the colonies, then you can include that also. That charges also in this. And now you can calculate the returns. What will be the expected returns per year? You can calculate it from. So here then the recurring cost. So total 6,83,000 for maintaining 150 colonies. Then we can by following the scientific methods, we can have 12 kg honey from a single hive. Based on that, we will be getting about 1,800 kg. Apart from that, we can harvest the wax also. So the returns comes to about 6,50,000. So what's like that we can calculate the BC ratio, and this is the way how we have to submit the project. So this non-recurring cost occurs only we can manage with the rest of the things. And now you can see a comparison between the interior. Here also I have included the components like bee colonies, then nucleus box, honey extractor, beehives, and then feeder frames, beekeeping equipments, then hive, queen gate, then the queen bee excluder sheet. All these has been included. Then the labor cost for that is for fixing the comb foundation sheet, then for the sugar feeding. Then if we are taking them for utilizing them for the pollination service, in that case, what is the cost required? Then like that we have calculated. And what is the production detail? Production details means honey and the wax produced from these. And apart from this, another method by which the beekeepers are earning is through by selling the colonies through division. Earlier, we used to have only one division, but nowadays we are doing 3 divisions during the brood. How we can increase the income. Okay, so based on that, total income it's shown here, and finally you can see the profit that is net. You can see the profit that is for the Indian bee, it comes about is 2,10,500. And apart from these, value addition, we have done many standardized many value-added products using the honey as well as the wax, and we have calculated the BC ratio, and the wax-based product was found to have maximum BC ratio when compared to the honey-based value-added products. And these again, these the cost may vary depending upon the material used for packing and also all these things. Okay. And so that's about the Indian bee and the Italian bee. So finally, I have to tell one more thing. That's you have to, though I have shown this table to you, first you should have an idea of what are the components which should come under this non-recurring cost. So you can start with initially a small unit, and based on that, you can submit the project proposal. And once you have come to that streamline or to that way, then you can increase further. Then in the case of the stingless bee hive, actually it is very cheap and economic. You just want only one hive, that's wooden hive made of good quality wood, teak, like that. It comes to about only rupees 200. And no need to go for purchasing the colonies because you can transfer the feral colony or the natural colony seen around your surroundings to these hive. Otherwise, it will cost about 2,000 rupees per colonies. So you can transfer the feral colonies from the surroundings, from the cracks and crevices seen in and around your area. And then you can start from it during the April month, and you can so you can divide the colony, and you can increase the number of colonies, and it can be effectively utilized in the terrace cultivation, where it was found to increase the production of vegetables very much. And the stingless bee honey, due to its medicinal properties, it fetches a good price, that is rupees 2,000 to 3,000 per kilo. Sometimes the farmers, they show a tendency to adulterate this stingless bee honey by mixing with the Indian bee honey. In that, the honey in front of the consumer itself, that's directly you take the honey from the stingless bee colony and then give them in front of them itself. Do not take in. So that is about the scope and prospect of the components which are needed for including in a project proposal, and in what way this beekeeping can promote our livelihood. Okay, thank you. Thank you all for the patient hearing, even though there was some interruption in between due to.
Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Okay, sir. Is it audible, sir? I don't know.
Audible, audible. Some problem is there. Maybe
Yeah. In
problem
between
is there.
there was net problem. I have already mentioned, sir.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Thank you, madam. Very nice presentation on
Okay.
honeybee. Because you start from now, how
Okay.
many species there, then what is the entrepreneurship can be developed this type
Oh.
of, this type. So
Okay.
thank you, madam. So some question is coming from a participant. So I read from first. Then first is what could be crop plant or weed source behind orange or purple color pollen collected by Apis mellifera?
What is the plant? First I should know from which area is this, because the area in our in Kerala also we are having the orange color pollen, but I couldn't say without observing it under the microscope whether which is that pollen. There are some reference slides, only that. And here what we get is normally the cream colored pollen that is from the coconut. And the technique which we are doing is the melissopallinological study. Nothing but we are studying the pollen present in the honey, as well as we are collecting the pollen from the corbicula of the honeybees and also from the brood for inspecting or to analyze from which plant they are carrying the they are collecting this pollen. So it's not possible for me to say in your area which type of pollen is maybe this orange color. Okay.
Okay.
We have to prepare the pollen slide. We have to prepare the pollen slide, and by observing the in that what we are doing is we are doing the acetylysis method. Acetylysis. We are cellulose will be removed, and then we will be observing the outside characters of that pollen, and there will be reference slides, and by referring that we will be saying which type of the pollen or from which plant this pollen belongs. So by saying this color simply we couldn't say. Okay.
Thank you, madam. Then another question came from,
Okay.
what are the selective force behind bee reaction to smoke and fire as an adaptation?
What are the reason behind smoking of bees?
Yeah.
Pardon, sir? Smoking. Why we are doing the smoking?
Yeah.
Is it correct, sir? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
What are the
Smoking.
selective forces behind the bee reaction to smoke and fire as an adaptation?
What, sir? I couldn't follow, sir.
What
are the reason behind
selective force behind? What are the selective force behind bee reaction to smoke and fire as an adaptation?
Sir, could you please write in the chat box?
Okay.
Could you please write in the chat
Next
box,
question is, then what is the preference of depth of flower by various honeybee species? That is normal.
Preference of?
Flower by various species of honeybee.
Yeah. Okay. Foraging plants. It may there is the foraging distance is there. That is Bees usually travel up to 1 kilometer or up to 3 kilometer. That is, it depends upon the sources. If they have the required sources which satisfy their nutrient requirements within the near distance, normally they will depend upon that. For example, in our case, we have done a pollination study, and our purpose was to standardize the number of colonies required for optimum pollination per hectare. So we placed the Indian bee colony. But what happened is, to our surprise, what happened is these bees are not visiting the cucurbits. Then we observe why it's so, because they are going straight to the coconut plantation. They are preferring the coconut pollen. So, but in the other location, they are preferring these cucurbits. So, whatever sources is very near to it, and if that source meets their dietary requirements, definitely they will visit only that plant. Okay.
Okay, okay, okay. Very nice, madam. Then one
Sir,
question
you can
came from.
okay. You can repeat that second question, sir.
No, no problem. That is another. So one and again one question is coming. What is the percentage of moisture in honey, and how we can remove?
Okay, okay. So that is
That is
yeah. And again, the percentage of the moisture in the honey, the one of the determining factor is the foraging plants only, because in our area we are harvesting more honey from the rubber plantation. And another thing is the climatic factor. That is, during the time of the rainfall and all, normally the moisture content will increase. So according to the UPMARC and Bureau of Indian Standards, 3 grades of honey are there. You may be knowing that special grade is the grade A grade, then standard, and there. So anyhow, there the moisture content ranges from 20 to 25%. But recently, the FSSA has revised the standards. That is, they are sticking to a percentage. That is, if the moisture content exceeds 20 or above, then they 20 is okay. Up to 20 is okay. Above 20, they will not permit to market their honey. And in our condition, it's a little bit difficult to follow this moisture percentage standard. But when you go to the Italian honey, means the Italian honey is more viscous and it normally have a less moisture percentage, below 20% only. So if the moisture is above 20%, definitely we have to go for the processing. Again, another thing, we can go up to 65 degrees Celsius. And if the temperature rises above, that means definitely it will affect the quality of the honey. That is sometimes there is chance of occurrence of HMF or hydroxymethyl furfural is occurring. Then another thing is that it will affect the enzyme content, particularly the diastase. These are some of the important standards which determine the quality of the honey during the time of export and all. Okay, so 20% is now the 20% and below is what is the level now needed for honey moisture. And you know, bees are keeping this percentage, moisture percentage, by means of the fanning method and all. But another thing what is noticed in the case of these beekeepers is, in order to reduce the time and for getting maximum honey, they will use to harvest the honey before the capping of the honeycomb, honeycomb cell by the bees. So this will also increase the moisture content in the honey. So nowadays, the only method is you can go for depending upon the honey processing plant, but that too you have to depend upon a vacuum based. Vacuum based means in that case we can reduce the temperature thereby we can increase the quality of the honey also. So hope you got the answer. So 20% is what is required. Okay.
Okay, thank you, madam. Very nice question and answer given by you. So again, one small question, that is, please suggest some first aid measures when a bee stings us. when bee
Go-
is biting,
yeah,
then
yeah,
what
yeah,
will be
yeah,
measures
yeah,
for controlling?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
When I visited the field, I used to get the bee sting during the rainy season, and the allergic reaction. You know, there is melittin, histamine. There are a lot of components in that, tannin and all. And that allergy is the one which determines the reaction, and it may vary from person to person. In my case, on that day, towards the end, what happens is my face becomes to swollen like anything. Looks like Nepali, like that we used to say here. And so what you can do is, in our area we have some small plant. Better you can carry with you some salt. Okay, that is one thing. And another thing is that you can carry with you baking soda also, because this one is slightly acidic. Okay, and so by applying this baking soda, it will neutralize. Okay, and you can apply this baking soda on the area where this sting happens. So it will reduce the action of being swollen like that. Okay, that's the immediate thing we can. An immediate thing what we have to do is, if you got the sting on your face, then with the help of the mirror on the smoker, you have to immediately remove that sting. Otherwise, more poison will enter into your body. And first thing, what you have to do that. Then second thing, you can apply the baking soda and all. Definitely, you have to use some medicine for the allergy. That is this Allegra or something like that. Some antihistamine you can try. Okay.
Okay, thank you, madam. Very nice. You have given the answer. So our last question is the any pesticide that is safely for pollinators?
Yeah, definitely pesticides are safe. Before that, more toxic one is that neonicotinoids, of course. What happens is that happened to the bee is that they couldn't detect the foraging plants and all. These are the impact. And what happens is this residue will be there in the brood, which will be consumed by the younger stages and all. Then sometimes the traces may come in honey also, but that's not occurring much. But nowadays, another thing what I have to say is, in our areas, for managing the ant, normally we use the ant pan and all, but these beekeepers are nowadays using fipronil. It's a dangerous one to the bees. Just they are dusting the fipronil near the ground, that is towards the base of the stand. So in that case, immediately after one day, you can see a lot of bees being dead and seen near the ground. So avoid such type of chemicals. And then safer thing, rather than going for safe, why don't you prevent the insecticide application during the peak foraging time? That's the one thing you can do. And so if you want to apply, another thing what you can do is you just provide some water or pollen substitute inside that, and you can close the entrance, and then you can apply in the evening or like that. And after one day or two, you can open the hive. That is the second thing you can do. Or or you can shift the colonies from that area, and later you can replace it. That's the thing you can do, rather than going for the pesticide application. And definitely we can apply the green color pesticides, that's botanicals or like that. I will not suggest any other thing. Okay, so in our studies, imidaclopride are found to be more toxic, even in the lab studies as well as the field studies. Foraging activity is very much affected by these neonicotinoids.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Very nice answer. Then again, one question is coming. Why most of the bee boxes are painted in green color?
In our areas, we are painted it with a white, because the reason why is white is the one which absorbs less heat. That's the reason. Okay, in our area it's like that. Green, I don't know why it's in our areas. We are also all painting. That too, only in the external side is painted with white. Internal is kept as natural. That's the same what would be there. Okay.
Okay, thank you, madam. Already we are late, 15 minutes. So thank you, madam.
Okay,
You
sir.
have
No
given
problem,
very
sir.
nice
What is that?
presentation.
Second question, if you can write, sir, I can understand. Because can you read it once
Okay,
more,
okay.
sir? That's
Okay. I will give you the email of your, no problem. They send your email.
okay.
That is good. Because time is very less now, already 15
Okay,
minutes
okay,
late.
okay.
So
Okay,
next
okay.
presentation can we start? Thank you,
Okay. So,
madam. So giving
okay,
very
thank you,
nice
sir. Hope you
lecture.
understand very well, sir.
Okay, thank you, madam. You have
Thank
given
you,
very
thank
nice
you, thank
lecture
you,
for the
thank you.
students or this. We start from
Okay,
different species, then last on entrepreneurship. That is
okay,
essential because most
okay.
of the students are liking only government job, government job. So that's why I liking this. Most of the private agency and private persons that is entry into the agriculture. Those I like
Okay,
most of
okay.
the person. So that's why.
Mm-mm.
Okay, thank you, madam. So
Okay, thank
next,
you, sir. Thank you once again for
thank you,
inviting me.
madam.
And
Sagat Sari.